And what does Maitreya promise? What does he want to achieve? What are his goals?
Well, you know, if you look at the word Share International, which is the name of the site, you know, if you read what he says, he wants the world resource sharing of the world. He doesn't want there to be any, supposedly, any inequalities of the world. You know, you look at what he says that he is. He says that he is the Christ that the Christians are expecting, the Messiah the Jews are expecting, the fifth Buddha the Buddhists are expecting, Krishna the Hindus are expecting, and Imam Mahdi that the Muslims. So he's kind of everything rolled up into one. He's like the total package. He's going to give and be able to unite and put all of the various and different religious systems, the major religious systems, all on the same page. And the Bible says that when the Antichrist comes, he's going to come with all lying power, signs, and wonders. And he's going to deceive the whole world by which the miracles that he's going to do. So he's taking credit for every single miracle that's going on right now, whether it's a Marian apparition, which would be to him the ascended Master Mary, because he's got a whole band of masters that he's going to be coming with. And so he's taking credit for everything. Every miracle that you're seeing going on in the world right now, whether it's a Catholic miracle, whether it's some type of energizing of water, whether it's some bleeding statue, whether it's, you know, some Hindu miracle, crosses of light, they've seen those in different and various churches. He's taking credit for all of that. And I think what we're going to see and what he says we're going to see, in fact, I just read this in their last report, Benjamin Kremet said also with the UFO sightings, he says they're going to increase up until the time when he makes his emergence. And he's going to come on the scene. He's going to be able to explain all of this and try to put everybody on the same page.
My personal belief is that the Antichrist, or the world teacher, will seem to actually be Christ, in the sense that he will seem to destroy some old system and some old bad leader. And I think that it will somehow be tied to, I don't know, this is my guess, but it will somehow be tied to some sort of fake or alien invasion or presence of some sort. I don't know if Maitreya fits all those characteristics, but I wouldn't doubt it for 1 minute if he was. My personal opinion is that Krim is somebody who is being talked to by entities and is doing what he's told to be doing. But you have to understand, a lot of times with people that are channeling entities like that, they oftentimes do and say things that don't come true, because the demons themselves don't know when. They're still on a timeline that they can't tell when something's going to happen. So they're always keeping something ready to happen in case when they finally can. So in the case of that, like if you look at the Blossom Goodchild thing and these ideas that were consistently put out by channeled entities and things, it never came to pass because they don't have control over the timeline. They just have to always be ready.
According to Share International and the Swahili edition of the Kenya Times, Maitreya made an appearance June 11, 1988, to a local congregation in Nairobi, Kenya. The editor of the Swahili edition of the Kenya Times, a veteran journalist named Job Matungi, witnessed the event and took some pictures. A summary of his article as it appeared in his newspaper is as follows, quote, "The tall figure of a barefooted, white-robed and bearded man appeared from nowhere and stood in the middle of the crowd. He was walking slowly towards the new church building, away from the tent. Mary walked with him side by side. I stared at the stranger without blinking, wafted on top of his turbaned head, his feet, and his entire body. In clear Swahili, which had no traces of accent, the strange man announced that the people of Kenya were blessed, especially those who had gathered at the venue that afternoon. We are nearing the time of the reign of heaven, but before that I shall come back and bring a bucket full of blessings for all of you, the man said." A bucket full of blessings is a reference to the astrological symbol for the age of Aquarius. Aquarius is depicted as a man carrying a pitcher of water in the zodiac. But continuing with the article, quote, "It took the crowd nearly 20 minutes to recover after the man left the meeting in a car belonging to a Mr. Gurnam Singh, who offered to give him a lift. But it will probably take Mr. Singh his lifetime to recover from the shock he got 2 minutes later. On reaching the bus terminus, the man informed Mr. Singh to stop the car. On getting out, he walked a few paces beside the road and simply vanished into thin air. New Age expert and attorney Constance Cumby, author of The Hidden Dangers of the Rainbow, had stumbled onto this Maitreya figure in her research in the 80s. Her book, published in 1983, was the first book to give a full expose on Maitreya and Benjamin Creme. On page 21, she notes a Denver Post interview conducted by Jack Kissling speaking to Benjamin Creme, quote, "Won't the advent of a single world religion annoy the hierarchies of all the current Orthodox religions?" I asked. "More than that," he said with a smile. "They will be shocked. I dare say they will be among the last to accept the Christ." But according to Kissling, Creme said confidently, "It will come because it must. We will begin to live," he said, "as potential gods," unquote. Constance Cumby also notes that Creme is a Luciferian by citing a WLAC radio interview, quote, "In a November 9, 1982 radio interview over WLAC, Nashville, Benjamin Creme told the entire Bible Belt that Lucifer came to planet Earth from planet Venus 18.5 million years ago and made the supreme sacrifice for us," unquote. Constance Cumby had direct contact with Benjamin Creme face-to-face in Detroit, Michigan. I had the opportunity to meet this brave woman, and she showed me the place in which she had attended a lecture by Benjamin Creme.
This is where Benjamin Creme spoke to a packed crowd November 4th, 1981. And Bread for the World was out there, had tables, Oxfam, every group you could think of was sitting out there. They were passing out brochures. The brochure is reproduced in both of my books. Benjamin Creme came in. He gave some kind of a hand signal that looked something like that. And I thought at first he was waving to somebody, but the crowd appeared to flip into a trance. And then he started speaking, and he was rotating his head. I can't even come close to. It was as close to a 180-degree spin of a head as I've ever seen. How his head didn't snap off, I'll never know. And then he started talking and laying out what they were doing, and the crowd was thoroughly under several degrees of hypnosis. I knew many people in that crowd from political circles and social circles in Detroit for many years, and I talked to some of them, and the common denominator was they had all been through one kind of mind control course or another, one type of New Age class or another. I talked to a fellow behind me, Al Banks, and I said, he was a film producer doing much of what you're doing now. And I said, "Al, I know what I'm doing here tonight. What are you doing here?" And he said, "Because, Connie," he said, "I'm taking a course in miracles at Unity." He said, "I've joined Unity. We're all required to take a spiritual growth class. I've taken a course in miracles. It was a class requirement that we be here tonight." And then he said, "You know, Connie, I would have thought a progressive person like you would have joined Unity a long time ago." Well, then I started explaining to him exactly why I haven't. And he snapped, the glaze snapped off his eyes for a little bit. He thanked me for telling him. And then Creme came in and started doing his thing. And at the end of the evening, they had been promised an appearance by Maitreya, the Christ, channeled through Benjamin Creme himself, that Maitreya would speak through Benjamin Creme. And Benjamin Creme asked everybody to join in the recitation of the Great Invocation. I told the woman standing next to me, "I will not say the Great Invocation with you. I will say my own prayer." And she was a nice little prim, proper-looking black lady. Could have been active in any Black Baptist church in Detroit from her appearance. And she said, "No, that's all right, honey. We all have our own paths to God." And I said, "The reason I will not say the Great Invocation with you, the scriptures clearly said that the Antichrist would come denying that Jesus was the Christ." I said, "Benjamin Creme has denied it all evening and said Jesus was not the Christ and this Maitreya was."